Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So we continue to the explanation for the continuous versus uniformly continuous. So the definition of continuous is f is continuous on real number if all c is element of the real number and every epsilon is greater than 0, where there exists delta is greater than 0, such that every x is element of the real number with the absolute value of x minus c is less than delta. We have the absolute value of function of x minus function of c is less than epsilon. And for the definitions of uniformly continuous is f is uniformly continuous on real number if every epsilon is greater than 0, there exists delta is greater than 0, such that every x and y is element of the real number with absolute value x minus y is less than delta. Implies on the absolute value function of x minus function of y is less than epsilon. What is the difference between these two definitions is the delta of the continuous is depend on epsilon and value of c, but uniformly continuous the delta is depends on epsilon only. So to see how it works, we see this. The absolute value of x minus c, this is for continuous, is less than delta, implies the absolute value of function of x minus function of c is less than epsilon. So we open the absolute value. So we got the x minus c is greater than negative delta and less than delta. So we plus c to every this. So we have x is greater than c minus delta and less than c plus delta. It same goes to the absolute value of function of x minus function of c. So we open the absolute value and we put out the function of c. So the function of x is greater than function of c minus epsilon and less than function of c plus epsilon. So from this works, we can see on the graph, whereas the c minus delta and x is between the c minus of delta and c plus delta, and for the y-axis the function of x is between the function of c minus epsilon and function of c plus epsilon. So if the functions are in this range of the continuous of this box, we call it as a continuous function. But if we compare to another graph where is the functions, we have two boxes for this function. If we have like this function, so these functions are in the range of this box, but the other functions is out of this box, so it is not uniformly continuous. So there is a difference between the continuous and uniformly continuous.